Hello friends, this is Jim here with Science Talk. I have an interesting report to share with you, and this is a study conducted by Carly Zeider of the University of Wisconsin-Madison and published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. And what she did was she examined the effect of what trees, the shade from trees, can do within city limits. And what she basically found was that planting trees, and this probably should come as no surprise, planting trees can bring down temperatures within cities by more than 5 degrees centigrade Celsius, even during the hottest heat waves that typically can happen in the summertime. Well, that would make sense, but like everything else in science, you have a hypothesis, you test it, you collect data, and then you verify or refute the hypothesis. And that's exactly what Dr. Zeider has went and done. Okay. So we know what trees can do, the shade that they afford from, looking at computer simulations, looking at the radiation signals, the infrared, ultraviolet light that comes in, goes out, etc., other satellite data information. Well, what did Dr. Zeider do? Well, she went pedaling around on a bicycle, toting a basically portable tiny weather station with her. And she took temperatures every 5 meters along a whole pile of transects that she had laid out. And these transects were approximately 7 kilometers in length that were in areas of highly built-up city infrastructure. Well, like everything else in science, when you collect data, you don't just get one set of data, but you like to have repeatability. And that's what she did. She took these rides between 3 and 12 times at different times of the day. So she did this anywhere from 3 to 12 times during the day at different times. So not only is she getting repeatability along the same transects, but at different times, and then repeating at those different times. So like, maybe she rode at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Well, she's going to have repeat data for each of those timestamps for each of the transects that she had predetermined. And, not surprisingly, city streets that had sunlight beating down right on it, well, of course, very hot. But if there was a bit of tree, a bit of shade, the temperature dropped most noticeably. In those patches where 2 or more trees met and 2/5 of the sky was screened by foliage, the temperatures dropped by an average of 3.5 degrees C, and sometimes, especially where the number of trees and their proximity delivered ever more shade, up to 5.7 degrees C. Now, trees not only deliver shade, they transpire. Transpiration, basically the release of water vapor out their stomata, which are openings found on the other side of their leaves. And you can think of this as sort of like having an air conditioning effect. It's very similar to when you perspire. Right? You get hot, you perspire. Maybe it's a bit of a breeze, or the humidity of the air is such that the water vapor that's now on your skin can be removed, goes into the atmosphere. What happens? It has a cooling effect. When you have a hot, humid day where relative humidity is 89% or higher, the air is close to being saturated, that water doesn't leave your skin and you're really most uncomfortable. Well, that's kind of the idea here. Well, and also, if you have, under the trees is cooler than out on the bare concrete that's being beaten down, you're doing what? You are setting up a temperature gradient. Temperature gradient, the difference in temperature, which means going to be difference in density, and difference in density leads to differences in air pressure. Differences in air pressure leads to air movement. Basically, when you have winds that follow a pressure gradient. Well, setting up little mini pressure gradients, so you can have air movement. You have air movement, that's also a cooling effect. And air movement, if you're perspiring, takes that moisture off your skin. So, and this is pretty, one of these common sense things, but again, how many times in the past what we thought was common sense correct turned out to be incorrect? This is what science does. We test hypotheses and we verify. Well, so this is one aspect of research is looking at what's called the green response to urban warming. Basically found that urban tree cover can add as much as $500 million to the economies of very large cities. And there's another benefit. Okay, they provide shade. They transpire, having a cooling effect, as I just discussed. They also do what? Absorb CO2. And also, you have trees, it adds to the property values. And basically, the way things are going, cities are getting hotter and hotter. With the concrete jungle. You've heard that term. And cities will need help from trees. There's no getting around that. More than half of the world's population is living within cities. So you got all the cities all over the planet. There's about, 7.5 billion people? That's 3.75 billion people living in cities. They're crammed in there. And when you start factoring in things like central heating, air conditioning, traffic, concrete, the tarmac, the streets, tiles, slate, shingles, what have you. These things give off energy, and it is used in the form of heat energy. Make things hotter. Oftentimes, you move from the city into a rural or even suburban setting, and the temperatures drop down quite a bit. So this is important information for city planners to take to heart and to factor in as they plan the cities. Need to plant trees. So I'll leave you with some quotes from Dr. Zeider. It's not really enough to just kind of go out and plant trees. We really need to think about how many we're planting and where we're planting them. We're not saying planting one tree does nothing, but you're going to have a bigger effect if you plant a tree and your neighbor plants a tree and their neighbors plant a tree. The trees we plant now or the areas we pave now are going to be determining the temperatures of our cities in the coming decades and next century. Basically, cities need green spaces, and tree-lined avenues are really a nice, wonderful thing to have. And of course, now city planners need to figure out how to do that. But referencing Dr. Zeider's comments here, Roger Cook, who's the landscape designer contractor, featured a lot on This Old House and Ask This Old House, he always has a saying, plant the right trees in the right spot at the right time. It's kind of what needs to be done here. But anyway, here are some strategies. Let's look at what information we get from the botanical side of things and implement those strategies to help ameliorate the effects of ever-rising temperatures. Thank you for your time. Hey folks, this is Jim here reminding you to please subscribe to my channel and please share my videos with others. Also remember to click the bell so that you know when I drop in a new video. I also ask that you please consider becoming a patron of my channel and support the work that I do by going to patreon.com/Science Talk with Jim Massa, each word separated by an underscore, and becoming a patron. It's asking for as little as $3 a month, cost of a cup of coffee, to support the work I do and keep my informative videos coming your way. Thank you for your support.